Hi, I'm Emily. I talk about building businesses, traveling remote, and life things. Okay, so let's share more about what goes into this $2,150 bedroom at a luxury condo. For context, it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment in Mission Bay at the Aavalon Luxury Apartments. I'm going to share the pros of living there as well as the cons, and then just my general sentiments and opinions around the surrounding neighborhood. So these luxury apartments really sell their amenities. There are different buildings at the Mission Bay location. So there's actually 3. There was phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So it's 3 different buildings. I lived in phase 2, which was in the middle. I liked the amenities in phase 1, which were the main gym was there. There was also a space on the highest floor for the common rooms. You can host events there. You can remote work out of there. The views were just spectacular. It was really great for just like reading, working remotely, hosting friends' birthday parties, etc. It was really expensive to rent the common room, but if you were there first and you just took over the space, then you could basically host something there. And that's what we did. I never paid to reserve the space. I just showed up way earlier and took over the space. The gym was really great. It was in phase 1 and in phase 3. Everything that you could really think of, there was like weight machines or cardio machines, there's like a stretching area, and there's a bathroom and sink as well. In phase 3, I actually never went to that gym because it was really dark, but if it's really busy at phase 1, you can hop on over to phase 3's gym. There was also a basketball court that was in phase 2 in the building that I lived in. A lot of people would play basketball, they would play badminton, they play pickleball. That space is really for you to reserve and kind of use it as you need. And then in the back, there was also a rock climbing wall, as well as like foosball and like all these other like activities and another common room that you could access. I would say that I use the space quite often just because I had events that I didn't really want to host people at my place, so I would host it in the common rooms. I think that was really a huge selling point for me as well, because as you know, just renting out space in San Francisco, renting out a restaurant or a bar or anything is just expensive. So why not just do it at my place? The other pros were the walking score and the access to so many things. So Mission Bay is flat. It's completely flat. It's not like up and down as it is in other parts of San Francisco. I really liked living in Mission Bay, especially in that proximity, and I think it was just really well situated for a luxury condo. It was close to Safeway, it was close to Gus's, it was close to the water, which I really love being by the water. There was also a library and a Phil's really close to us. I will say that the food scene is not that great per se. There's not a lot of like lively restaurants as there is in like Hayes Valley, the Mission District, or in Nob Hill, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. You just make do. I also really liked that there was a Chase Bank near me, so when I had to pick up envelopes or checks, it was super convenient. I could just like walk down and get it. Let's talk about the cons. So the cons of living in this luxury apartment is that everything is expensive. So when I initially signed on to the lease, I was expecting it to be maybe like $2,150 plus $100 for bills and etc. But there are a lot of things, a lot of added costs that came with living there. For instance, there was an issue with trash. Like there were some neighbors who weren't breaking down their boxes correctly, and as a result, all of us had to end up paying for that as a penalty. In actuality, it was like $2,150, maybe adding like $250 more for other like water, PG&E, like Wi-Fi, things like that. Those things just kept adding up. This didn't really happen until closer to the months that I was about to move out, but I heard there were a lot of break-ins to the Amazon boxes, a lot of stolen packages happening, people's food was getting taken. Like, it was kind of weird because I will say a lot of people come in and out of our buildings. I don't think a lot of people were doing a good job making sure that there was like enough security or people walking the grounds. I also remember there was like something really weird written on the elevators. It was kind of racist, discriminating, and we had like reported it to the office. We are really close to Caltrain, so there are some interesting figures that are around that area that yell, that scream. I think there were a couple people high on fentanyl probably at midnight, and so you could hear them screaming at night. I think that was just not really ideal. And then you could also hear Caltrain, like the bell like dinging close close to midnight as well. Especially if you're facing Caltrain, it's probably really loud. I was part of a resident Facebook group, so I kind of knew like what was going on within the apartments as well. A lot of reports of like, you know, elevators breaking down, like food getting taken or packages being stolen, like things like that, where I'm like, if we're paying an arm and a leg to live at this luxury apartment, I would also say that I probably filed over like 10 tickets throughout the entire year. A lot of things like would break throughout the apartment, such as, you know, the water head was dripping water, wasn't working when I moved in. There was also constant maintenance happening in the building, which, I mean, I think it's just a small complaint, but just know that there were sometimes like fire alarms going off, you know, shutting off the water because something was going on. For people to live in one of these like luxury apartments, I do feel like we paid a lot. Towards the end, I just felt like it wasn't worth living there anymore, especially if I could live somewhere else with more space. I definitely got the question of like, why did you live in Mission Bay? It's so sterile, it's so boring, it's not lively. But to be honest, I think when I want to go home to a place, I do want it to be safe and clean and, you know, accessible and easygoing. I don't want it to be super loud, like lots of things happening at night. I want to be able to sleep peacefully. Maybe it's just because I'm of age and I don't want to be living in a party scene. So that was really why I chose Mission Bay. I think there were so many great things about Mission Bay besides it being flat. It's just very easy access to get to anywhere. So there was like the Muni line, the N and the T. You could go to the Embarcadero really easily. You could go to Chinatown very easily. Take Caltrain. Sometimes there were days where I would just wake up and hop out of bed and hop on Caltrain with like 5 minutes to spare and then go visit my sister in the South Bay. Aside from that, you're also close to the SF Giants Stadium and the Chase Stadium. If you're really into sports or just live music events, super easy to just attend an event and then get home easily. But other people had to, you know, wait to call an Uber and get home. It's just a lot going on. So having access to these like activity centers was really great. The other thing that I really enjoyed too were the free shuttles. So UCSF has campuses around Mission Bay, and they have a lot of free shuttles for students or just residents of Mission Bay. I think there were also just general Mission Bay shuttles that brought you downtown, and they were all free. And so I really appreciated having those shuttle lines for free, especially because paying for transportation can be expensive, or paying for an Uber can be expensive. So all in all, I do think Mission Bay is really great. I've seen a lot of actually like techies who have dogs, who have young children. A lot of like babies lived in our apartments, like young families. And I saw a lot of people who worked in the medical space, probably nurses or doctors or just students, because UCSF was so close. So I really did like the vibe of Mission Bay. And they also opened up a new park, and I know they're opening way more along the water, closer to like Dog Patch. So I'm really excited to see that area continue to evolve and like grow and expand. I will say though, I think things will become way more expensive throughout the years. It's a really nice place to live, especially by the water, and anything by the water and near like activity centers will become more and more popular. So we'll see how that area continues to change and expand. Last year, I was 29, turning 30, feeling like I just wanted my own room, my own space, live in an area that was comfortable, clean, safe, and efficient. So I actually went online for the Facebook groups. There's one that's very popular called San Francisco Rooms, Apartments, and Sublets. I found someone, she was Korean, she was also around the same age, and she worked fully remote from home. I met up with her and we just vibed. It was a really good fit, and I toured the accommodations, the space. Felt like it was a little bit expensive for what I really initially wanted, but because everything just aligned so well, I decided to take the jump and just live with her. The interesting thing was that the lease was already existing. I was just taking the spot of someone who was going to hop off the lease. So I was just an additional person to the lease. There are a lot of scams on Facebook groups, so please be careful when you're talking to people. Never give money without visiting the space first, like a deposit. My cousin almost got scammed because she was gonna give the person $500 without even seeing the place. Always make sure to meet the person in real life, view the space, view the area surrounding it. What I would also do is check out the area at night, just so I get a sense of how safe it can be. I did eventually move out because my 1-year lease was over. I felt like paying that much for a place to live was just like simply not worth it anymore. I also got a partner, so him and I were always at each other's house like all the time, and it just didn't make sense for both of us to be paying double rent when we're like butt buddies and like always stuck together. So all in all, I decided to end my lease. I moved in with my current boyfriend right now, and both are saving more on rent, and we both have way more space. All in all, if you're someone who wants peace and quiet, maybe try it for a year or so. Definitely try to negotiate your lease contract, because all the contracts with Aavalon definitely fluctuate. They're not all the same, and it really depends on like how you can negotiate with them, or maybe if you join a lease, like an ongoing lease, maybe they have a better rate as well. I would also preface this again that there are a lot of places to look for in San Francisco, but I think for me, because I'm in my early 30s, and I've, work remotely, I was literally trying to find a place that spoke to me, that was like peaceful for me. Just the idea of being able to like walk outside and pick up a Phil's and walk by the water and, maybe run to the Embarcadero every Saturday to farmer's market. Like that was really heavily integrated into my lifestyle and who I was. And so being able to live there in that time was great. And I hope that if you decide to live at Aavalon Mission Bay, you'll enjoy it as much as I did. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.